What's up guys, how you doing today? Welcome to a new video, and today I am very happy because we are going to analyze on the channel a gaming tower with a spectacular quality price ratio. It will range around 1500 euros more or less, so it will not be one of those super expensive gaming towers, but a quite affordable tower at that, and a very powerful one. In the video, what we're going to do is to try to push it to the extreme. We're going to perform various very exhaustive tests with lots of performance, and we will see how its Ryzen 7 processor behaves, its graphics card that I will reveal to you later, and we will see if this tower is worth it or not. If you want to get to know it, you'll know what to do. Stay right here on TechGround. Alright, let's do this. We will get to know this gaming tower, we will learn about absolutely all its features, we'll see the good and the bad that this computer has. In this case, it's a PcCom computer, which are the computers or towers sold by PC Componentes already ready, already prepared for the user himself to simply enjoy. You already know that you have the option to either buy it on your own, or in this case, this model that will be a PcCom model that is already fully loaded and ready to use. We are going to talk first about the aesthetic aspect, which is one of the most striking things about this equipment, and as soon as you take it out of the box, it looks spectacular. In this case, we find that the equipment is mounted in a case that has an entirely transparent side with this tempered glass, and the truth is that it looks spectacular. The case is the N4 Tech Crater X with tempered glass, and as you can see, it is a complete success to be able to see all the inner workings and everything inside that we will have inside our equipment. In addition, the tempered glass will allow all the lights, all the LEDs that the equipment has to be seen perfectly from the outside, and the truth is that it looks impressive. On the front, we have a triple fan that also has LED lights embedded on it, and we would have another fan on the back, also with LED lights. And as I mentioned, all these LEDs will be visible from the outside thanks to the glass that it has embedded on it. In addition, the front part protecting this triple fan, we have a grill that is magnetized, so it will allow us to remove and put it back on in an extremely simple way. This will be very useful if, for example, we want to clean it. We can remove it very easily and proceed with the cleaning, or for example, we want to change it for a different grill that we like. Another grill which has other lines or other designs, we will be able to remove this one and put the new one in very easily. The motherboard of the equipment is the Asus Prime B500M that we have over here, and installed to this motherboard, as I mentioned before, we have the 7th generation of the Ryzen processor. A processor that we have seen previously in other equipment on the channel that performs spectacularly well, and that in terms of quality price ratio is incredible. And later in the video is when we're going to put it to the test and see how it performs. As for the graphics card that the equipment will contain, we find that GeForce RTX 4060, a graphics card that is also excellent in its quality price ratio. In regards to the power supply, we find an MSI power supply, specifically 650 watts, more than enough to power the entire equipment. In this case, it will be a bronze power supply. The RAM of the equipment is 32 gigabytes. In this case, the equipment has two modules, so we have two 16 gigabyte cards each. The internal memory of the equipment is 1 terabyte. Specifically, we have a Western Digital hard drive. And the cooling system of the equipment is liquid. In this case, we find the N4 Tech Ataraxia X240. A cooling system that, as I just mentioned, is liquid, so it will be very good at cooling, but also will be visually stunning since it has two fans with RGB LEDs. And the part connected to the motherboard also has another RGB LED, making our equipment look even better with these LEDs. Moving on with the connections that our N4 Tech case has, as I mentioned earlier, we find that it has some initial connections on the top of the case, where we also have the on and off button, as well as the LED button, by which we can press it and change all the configuration, change the speed of the LEDs, the colors, the different styles it has, until we find the option that is best suited and we like the best for our own equipment. At the top, we find two USB Type-A ports that in this case are high speed, but something that I do miss in this equipment is that we do not have any USB Type-C ports. We have more USB Type-A ports at the back, which are also high speed, but we do not have any Type-C ports throughout the equipment. To connect to our screens, which I have connected to my 3 monitors that I have here in my own setup, as you will be able to see, it moves them perfectly. We have 3 DisplayPort ports and 2 HDMI ports, so we will be able to move these 3 monitors without any problem. Something I missed from the equipment is that despite being a desktop computer, many desktops already have Wi-Fi wireless connection, but not in this case. It will only have an Ethernet connection, and indeed it is something I have missed because all the connections I have in the office are wireless. I have the router elsewhere, but it is something very simple that we can solve with this device you're seeing on screen. I bought it on Amazon, it costs 15 euros, and the installation is very simple, and we solve this problem very easily. Having said this, let's go with the performance test and see how well this computer behaves. We will start with its hard drive. I have done different reading and writing tests that you can see on the screen, and the truth is that this Western Digital performs incredibly well, with reading and writing speeds exceeding 4,000 megabytes per second. Then I ran the Heaven benchmark, which is a benchmark that runs as if it were playing a very powerful game, putting in a lot of frames per second and seeing how this computer performs. After a while that the benchmark is running, it takes about 5 to 10 minutes putting our equipment to the test. You can see on the screen the result obtained, which would be about 88 frames, and its score that the program gives us will be 2,236. It is a very pleasing score. You can indeed use it to compare it with other equipments. And this leads us to the next performance test, which would be Cinebench R23, another very powerful benchmark that takes our computer to the limit. In this case, we do the benchmark both in single core and multi-core to see the performance that it has. We can already appreciate that in single core, it positions our AMD Ryzen 7 processor in the first position of the best results obtained in this benchmark. And in the case of multi-core, it will position it in the 4th position above processors like the Intel i9. In this case, I also run both benchmarks, the single core and multi-core. Both take about 10 minutes approximately, and the scores we obtain are 15,430 points for the multi-core and 1,500 points for the single core. Again, you can use these results to compare them with your own equipment or other pieces of equipment to see the performance it obtains. And finally, we have to run the Geekbench benchmark, a benchmark we always run on all the equipment. It can also be used to compare it with other videos we have made previously and also with your own equipment and other such. We get 2,200 points in single core and 10,097 points in multi-core. Well, besides all these benchmarks, what I have been doing is pushing it, testing it with different heavy video games that require power, that require moving many frames. The truth is that the performance of the equipment has been more than acceptable. It has been able to move all the games I have been using. It has moved very fluidly, as you will see in the images over here. Of course, besides all these benchmarks that I had done to see the performance of the equipment, I have been playing a lot of games for a long time, which is one of the main purposes of this computer, one of the main uses that this type of equipment can have. The truth is that it has performed really well all this time I have been playing. The games ran very well, very fluidly, and allowed us to play these games and enjoy them at high frames per second. Moreover, what I usually do while I am playing is monitoring to see how both the graphics card and the processor are behaving while you are playing. I do this thanks to the HW Monitor program, which allows us to see the stress level or the power level that our components are giving. So I will be showing you images of the different games I have been playing, taking screenshots, and showing you how the processor and the graphics card have been behaving during all this time. Of course, the equipment, I hadn't mentioned it before, but you have seen it throughout the review, comes with Windows 11. A Windows 11 that can come either pre-installed that we requested when ordering the equipment from PcCom, or they can send it to us completely without any operating system, and later we can install the system that we desire. So to sum it all up, it has been an equipment that I liked a lot, starting first with its aesthetic aspect. Visually, it is incredible, and the fact that we can see all the components through the glass looks spectacular, as I mentioned in the beginning. As for the negative points of the equipment, I mentioned the Wi-Fi issue, which would have been interesting, but it is something that can be solved very easily with an adapter like the one I mentioned that I bought on Amazon for 15 euros, which is what it cost me. Also, the issue of the USB Type-C. I think that currently it is something that most equipments should already implement, but it is also something that's so simple that it can be solved with a simple adapter. In terms of the performance of the equipment, the truth is that we can find very few flaws on it. For the price it has, which is 1,500 euros, as I mentioned, a mid-range gaming computer can easily go up to 3,000 euros if you are not careful. In this case, we have one at a very reasonable price of 1,500. In terms of performance, games, and other aspects, the performance has been really good. So well guys, I would love to know your comments, your opinions down in the comment section down below, and let us know what you all think. If you think it is a good alternative for 1,500 euros, or if you think it is expensive or cheap, what do you think? I read you all in the comments section below. So that's it guys, thank you very much for watching the video, thank you very much to PcCom for trusting us to send us this equipment and be able to test it, and until next time, see ya!